12 minutes now before 10 o'clock. Hope you're having a good Monday morning. Hope your weekend went well. It's kind of a busy week in the news. We had the Pope in town. No, not in town, not this town, but anyway, Pope in the country. And today the president is up at the UN with President Xi Jinping at the UN. And also expected to be there is President Vladimir Putin from Russia, Raul Castro from Cuba. He said he's showing up. President Rouhani from Iran is showing up. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, they're all showing up. No women in the mix. You notice this? Just a bunch of guys. I think they need somebody. They need some of the female perspective on some of these things, don't you think?
Well, do they have elected officials in the major countries that are women?
Well, if they don't, they should put some in there. Somebody should do something about that. Let's see. If we have a female president, then that would change all that, wouldn't it?
Right, exactly.
I wonder how it would change the world as we know it. Maria Elena Perez is on the phone. She's the Director of Policy and Strategic Partnerships at the National Institute for Reproductive Health. She wants to talk to us about what is going on in the world of women's rights. September 30th, this Wednesday, marks the 39th anniversary of the first passage of the Hyde Amendment, and I'll have her explain what that is to us. Maria Elena Perez. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
New York, and I must say that I have a special place in my heart for Ocala just because I have a lot of family there.
You do?
Nice.
Yes, I do.
Did you grow up here?
No, I did not. I grew up in New York, but I've gone many a times out down there.
Oh, so some of your family moved down from up there?
Actually, no. They came straight from Dominican Republic to Ocala.
Dominican Republic. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You got. So, did you grow up in the Dominican Republic?
No, I grew up in New York, but we're a transnational community. We like to travel back and forth.
Just trying to figure you out here. I think a lot of us are transplants from one place or another, especially around here. It's like Ocala is like the melting pot of the melting pot. A lot of people come here from a lot of places.
Yeah, and I think a lot from the Northeast, particularly. I think as things get more colder and brutal here, I think people start traveling down, right?
Yeah. So let's start with the first question. What is the Hyde Amendment? What is that?
Sure. Well, the Hyde Amendment, what it does is that it denies abortion coverage to women who are enrolled in Medicaid. And what this does then, it disproportionately impacts poor women and women of color who rely on such insurance to meet their health care needs. And what we know is that, poor women and women of color are less able to pay for an abortion out of pocket and rely on programs like Medicaid.
I thought there was a 20-week thing or something. They ignore that 20-week thing?
Well, with Medicaid, with the Hyde Amendment, women basically cannot access an abortion if they're enrolled in Medicaid with the Hyde Amendment.
Even if it's the day after?
Even if it's the day after, I'm sorry?
Well, you know what I mean. Like if it's the way I understood it is that abortions were not permitted after the 20-week period. Oh
no, abortions are permitted, up until in different states, up to 24 weeks in different states. But with the Hyde Amendment in particular, it denies abortion coverage pretty much across the board to women that are enrolled in Medicaid. So women on these programs aren't able to access and get an abortion pretty much across the board.
Are women able to accept birth control pills, though, for free if they're on Medicaid and for those programs?
I believe they're able to access different types of birth control. And, childbirth is covered. And I think one of the things that, we keep talking about is that, we shouldn't treat, different women, women differently just because of the type of insurance that they have. So that, poor woman that's on Medicaid is not able to access the same kind of services that maybe someone else on private insurance can.
Is it limited to abortions or no?
I actually don't know in terms of all the specifics that Medicaid covers, because I know it covers different things, but for the most part, we know with the Hyde Amendment, it specifically is dealing with abortion.
It is such a tough topic to talk about. I won't try to hide from you the fact that I just don't like abortions. I agree with the people who say it is taking the life of a baby. You might disagree with that, and I respect your opinion. Hopefully you respect mine. It's such a tough topic, and I understand both sides of it, though. I understand the argument that, well, what are you going to do if you can't raise a child? You don't have the money. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough topic. I mean, within my own family, within my own group of friends, people have different opinions about it and different feelings about it. And I think, you know, what it comes down to is really about, you know, we keep seeing this stuff in the news and really seeing a lot of political games playing out. And, you know, women are the ones losing. And I think we don't know a woman's circumstances. We're not in her shoes. And I think that's the one thing that, you know, people are able to kind of come together around, that, you know, we don't know what a woman's reason is, and we shouldn't therefore then take away every woman's ability to make those decisions for herself.
If you don't mind, I'm not trying to be self-indulgent here, but I just want to explain where my position comes from, and that way you'll understand what my position is. My position comes from my father. My father was a New York City police officer. He was very much opposed to abortion, as I am, but he was also opposed to making it illegal, and here's why. Because as opposed to abortion as he was, as a young police officer, probably in the, I would guess this would have been in the 60s, or maybe the late 50s, he, before the, what was it, the Roe versus Wade, before that, he walked in on a deceased 14-year-old girl, 16, I can't remember how old she was, but a deceased teenager who had gone through some back alley abortion guy who didn't know what he was doing, and she died from bleeding because the guy didn't know what he was doing. And so in his mind, as bad as as strong as he felt against abortion, he was also against making them illegal, because a person's going to do what a person's going to do. And a young woman who's going to get an abortion is going to get an abortion. And if it's not legal, she's going to find somebody who will do it. Just like they say, if guns are illegal, the only ones with guns will be the bad guys. So if abortions are illegal, the only ones performing them will be the bad guys, which was the case in his day. And there you go. That's in a nutshell, where I stand on this whole thing.
No, and that's right. I think if we continue to put more restrictions on a woman's ability to get an abortion, we do go back to a place where women aren't able to access safe abortions, and we see that. And so I think, you know, being able to respect everyone's kind of opinion, and everyone has strong feelings about this, and I think even if people disagree, then it's also about just respecting another person's ability to make their own life decisions and not impose kind of, you know, our values or beliefs on them, and recognizing that, you know, like you said, women will still be there'll still be a need, and women will still want to get an abortion, and so we want to make sure that she is supported and that also it is safe.
Will you be giving more educational programs to people that are on Medicaid, so they know the pros and cons of this before they start becoming sexually active when they're just teenagers, for girls and boys, so that way maybe abortions won't happen anymore and they can practice safe sex?
Well, there is, you know, a growing movement around just being able to offer comprehensive sex ed in schools, and I think that's where a lot of, you know, there's a lot around policies around being able to start doing some of that sex education in schools, regardless of what, you know, whether young people, what kind of insurance they're on, so that they start getting some of that education there. But we at the National Institute for Reproductive Health, what we're doing is we're part of a larger campaign called All Above All, working to kind of lift the bans on abortion coverage. And so people could go to our website, allaboveall.org, and learn more about that, and just be a part of the conversation, sort of like what we're doing right now here with you all, just being able to start talking.
Could I ask you a favor, Maria? Could you say the website slower? Let me write it down.
Sure. allaboveall.org.
Oh, okay. All above, 3 words. Allaboveall.org.
Yes, org.
Okay.
O-R-G.
Got it. Okay. Is there something that is in the works on a federal level, on a national level? Is Congress going to vote on something this month?
Well, the Each Woman Act was introduced earlier this year, and that actually ensures coverage for abortion for every woman, you know, despite what she earns, how she's insured, and where she lives. And we've actually received tremendous support. We have more than 100 co-sponsors in Congress. There's, growing number of support publicly with the general public across the country, and so that's something that we've been doing, and there is some support there with the Each Woman Act. So we're going to continue. We also know that and recognize that there's a long way to go, so we're going to continue pushing for that, and also just encourage people to talk to their lawmakers and get more educated on this as well.
Do you know what I would like to see? I would like to see a campaign similar to the no smoking campaign. So it's not a law, but it's just a mindset where people say, gosh, I need to be more responsible. And I know there's always going to be people who aren't. But if we could persuade people to see this as a person, this is a child. I know people disagree with that, but how can you disagree? It's a baby in there. So
exactly.
I have a hard time with that. A very hard time with that, but I've already explained where I stand legally going, with this. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for being on the air with us, Maria. Let's see. The big thing we will leave the audience with is allaboveall.org, and the first passage of the Hyde Amendment. Will that be overturned, do you think?
It's been going on for 39 years, and every single year it continues to be put into place. So we're hoping that the Each Woman Act would kind of correct that in a way, but we're hoping that is able to be overturned. But we still have a long way to go.
I'm sure you have a tough morning ahead speaking to us radio guys. Thank you so much for being on the air with us.
No, thank you.
It's an important topic, and it needs to be talked about, and hopefully we did it respectfully. Thank you, Maria.
No, thank you.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
News Radio. I'm Pam Puso. It's been a long time since they've talked face-to-face, but they will today. President Obama and his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. On the agenda, Ukraine and Russia's growing involvement in Syria.
The reaction that we're seeing from the Russians now is actually responding from weakness. They're concerned about the investment there.
White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest on Fox and Friends. In northern Afghanistan, the Taliban is gaining ground.
Taliban fighters have captured more than half of Kunduz city after launching a three-pronged offensive. A spokesman for the provincial capital of Kunduz says gun battles continue between Afghan government forces and the Taliban.
Fox News Radio's Jessica Gallagher. There's a report that Taliban fighters broke into a jail and freed hundreds of militants. Job cuts are coming to Whole Foods Market. Some 1,500